And I was like, so I kept my eyes closed, like, what am I seeing? And then I saw two angels come down beside me. And my arms were raised like this while I was actually in service. I saw like them grab me under each arm and they motion upward. And as they motion upward, immediately I was standing in space and I could see the earth like a globe.
As soon as I saw him, that was the first thing I wanted to do. Apologize, get it right. And then when he asked me in the car, it freaked me out because I was like, whoa, wait a minute. I thought I just had that experience. I didn't know something happened with him. So when he said, what did you see? I'm like, whoa. And so that's why my head snapped like that, because I'm like, how did he know what I saw and what I experienced?
'Cause you stood right there, you broke the lies. You told me I had something beautiful inside. You brought to life the part of me I love and died. 'Cause you stood right there until I saw me. I saw me through your eyes. I saw me. I saw me through your eyes. I saw me.
Hello, everybody. My name is Portia, and welcome to Thei Connect, where we hit on real life discussions from a Christian perspective. Today, we have a great episode behind Thei, which is very fitting for Thei Connect, the podcast launch. And we have with us none other than this incredible couple, pastors of Through His Eyes International Church, Pastor Jamika and Pastor Travis. Welcome. Hello.
Hey.
Good to
Are
be
you excited?
here. Yes.
Yes.
Good.
Very
Good,
excited.
good. First, thank you for allowing me to be a part of this outreach. I know it's going to be a blessing to so many people. It's a great opportunity for people to hear from pastors and other people that are going to be bringing healing discussions, right, from a Christian perspective. So today we have a great conversation behind Thei, and we're going to get into their journey to ministry. So if you're in your car or you're at home, get ready for a real conversation on faith and journey into ministry. So we'll get right into it. Through His Eyes International. Can we start there? How did that name come about?
I'll let you talk about that.
So the name came about through an actual encounter that we had with Jesus. And it started when it was the spring of 1994. We had just transitioned from Germany. I was in the military. And my wife was in the military. And we transitioned from Germany to Virginia, Southern Virginia, Newport News area. And we were only about 9 months into our marriage. And so we were just arguing. It was just that transition period. And so that night, it was a Wednesday night, we just wasn't talking to each other. We got in our car. We was driving down 64, headed to a church that we were attending for Bible study. We got inside of the church. We didn't speak the whole time driving. I remember just saying, I'm tired of apologizing to her. I'm not going to. And it was just, and we got to the church service and the pastor of the church wasn't there at that time. So it was this worship leader. His name was, we call him Brother Floyd, very anointed guy. He asked everyone to come up to the front, the altar. He said, we're not going to worship. He says, we're not going to preach tonight. We're not going to teach. We're just going to come up in front of the altar and we're going to worship. So we all came up and I think Jamika was on one side of the altar. I was on the other side, towards the center, I believe. And I started worshiping God. I wasn't in the mood. I wasn't, I just wasn't in that mindset, right? And immediately I started, as my eyes were closed, I immediately started seeing. It was odd because I had only been a Christian for about a year at that time. So I started like seeing myself, like I was standing behind myself, watching myself. And I was like, so I kept my eyes closed, like, what am I seeing? And then I saw two angels come down beside me. And my arms were raised like this while I was actually in service. I saw like them grab me under each arm and they motion upward. And as they motion upward, immediately I was standing in space and I could see the earth like a globe. And so at that moment, I turned to my right and I saw Jesus standing next to me. And he looks just like what, people depict. He was about 6'1". He was, tall, lean. And he looked at me and he says, he points his hand to the earth and he says, the things that people fight over aren't worth it. And when he said that, it was like he allowed me to see the way he saw things, or how people were fighting. And so I didn't even look at him again after that, because I was looking at the earth and I kept thinking, my wife, my wife, my wife, my wife, because it was like he was showing me how people in the earth were fighting over things. And then the next thing he said to me, he points his hand to me. He says, when you get back, because I was standing on his left side, he says, when you get back, ask your wife what she saw. And then boom, I was back. And the craziest thing is when I was back, I heard the sound, because up there, I didn't hear anybody. I didn't hear it. I didn't hear the worship. I didn't hear nothing. The only thing I heard was him, and it was in space, right? The Apostle Paul talks about getting caught up to the third heaven. We know that the first heaven is just the sky. The second heaven is space. The third heaven is heaven itself. So I had no point of reference. I had just became a Christian. When I was back in the sanctuary, tears were coming down my face. And that stood out to me, because I'm like, why am I wasn't crying. What was going on? And so the service was over. The worship part of the service was over. The pastor, Floyd, has told everyone, Brother Floyd told everyone to go back to their seats. And as I was coming around the altar, I saw Jamaica coming around, and she was crying, and I was crying. So we looked at each other, and we grabbed hands. We went and sat down in the pews, and I'm sitting there, and she grabs my hand, I grab her hand, and we say sorry to each other.
Mm-hmm.
And right after that, the service was over. We went and got in our car, and I when I stuck the key into the ignition of the car, I remember to ask her what Jesus told me to ask her. So I looked at her, and I was like, hey, did you see anything tonight?
Yeah.
Because, and I still remember this, sitting in the car while other cars were leaving, when she was looking forward. And when I said that, her head snapped to me and looked. And she said, did you see something? And then we had this volley going back and forth. I said, did you see something? Did you see something? Did you see? And then I said, stop. God asked me to ask you what you saw. And then I'll let her tell you what she saw, what happened with her.
Yeah, what was your experience?
Yeah, so basically, like he said, he had did something. I don't remember what it was, but I was
it's
mad
my fault
about it.
Are we going back there? We going back?
I was mad because of whatever he did. And so we did go into the church like that. When we went up to the altar to worship, just suddenly I was in this other space. Like, I wasn't where we were.
Right.
And I didn't see anything. I just heard a voice that said, the things that people fight over is not worth it. And of course, I knew I was convicted because we had been fighting and everything. And when everything was over, like he said, I kind of like came back to myself. And as soon as I saw him, that was the first thing I wanted to do, apologize, get it right. And then when he asked me in the car, it freaked me out because I was like, whoa, wait a minute. I thought I just had that experience. I didn't know something happened with him. So when he said, what did you see? I'm like, whoa. And so that's why my head snapped like that, because I'm like, how did he know what I saw and what I experienced? And so then when we went back and forth, I finally told him what I saw, and then he shared with me his experience.
Awesome. And that's amazing how God used that experience for both of you, right, to come up with through his eyes, right? And not only that, a message for others too, right? It's not worth it. The fight isn't worth it because there's
and none of it came to fruition. The only thing that prospered over time was through his eyes International.
awesome.
So I believe God did it in a way so to establish order and to establish unity.
Yeah. And I would like to say something too, because right after she explained to me that she was standing there and she saw and she heard, I remember her telling me, and she said she heard a voice out of the universe speak and say the things that people fight over weren't worth it. And I remember sitting there And the thought that came to my head, I said, so you're telling me, and no, not even a thought, I actually said it. I looked at my wife. I said, so you're telling me God is real, Jesus is real, the Holy Spirit is real, the devil's real, heaven is real, hell is real. So all this is really real. It hit because, I wasn't raised in church. I would attend church. Like when I mean by attend church, I would, sporadically on Easter or something like that, or a death a death at a funeral, something like that. So, so I knew as I began to walk further in God, and I would tell people about what happened to us, they would look at us like, other Christians.
Yeah.
So then I was like, well, this is not common with other people. So I said, I kind of figured, because I'm very logical. I was like, God had a purpose for this. He just doesn't do things just to do it.
And that's a wrap on today's episode Behind Thei. If you were blessed by this, please subscribe, share, leave a review. If there's anyone that you know that may need some encouragement and faith and accepting the calling on God's life, share this episode with them. And our next episode is going to be great as well. It's God's grace in motherhood. So stay connected.